The European Union has a dismal record on opening up new trade markets for its members, Chancellor of the Exchequer Rishi Sunak claimed in a throwback column. Negotiations on a future trade relationship between the EU and UK are still deadlocked, despite a ticking clock and a further bid by the European Commission to restart collapsed talks. The UK rejected Brussels' proposals for further discussions in London this week after Prime Minister Boris Johnson accused the EU of being too harsh and urged for a fundamental change in approach. The bloc's chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier and his British counterpart David Frost spoke on the telephone for the second day on Tuesday, trying to patch up the situation, but to no avail. Mr. Barnier said his message during the call was that we should be making the most out of the little time left, adding that the EU door remains open. Downing Street had been angered by a statement from EU leaders issued last week, which said that the UK would have to be the one making concessions if a deal was to be agreed. Sticking points in the talks include the so-called level playing field, to ensure businesses on one side do not have an unfair advantage over the other, and fishing rules. As the chances of a no-deal Brexit at the end of the transition period increase, a 2016 column by Rishi Sunak has resurfaced, in which he sheds light on the EU's dismal record on opening up new trade markets. Campaigning for Britain to leave the bloc before the EU referendum, Mr. Sunak wrote, appearing on lists alongside Andorra, Turkey and San Marino is not generally something Britain aspires to. And yet, if Britain remains inside the customs union from outside the EU, that's exactly the club we would join. There is much scaremongering about leaving the customs union, but staying in post-Brexit would be a mistake, and there are 6 simple reasons why. The EU has a dismal record on opening up new trade markets for its members. It took Brussels 58 years to sign a free trade agreement (FTA) with a top 10 economy, Canada, and even this was almost derailed by a tiny Belgian province. Mr. Sunak recalled how independent nations everywhere have a better record at managing trade policy.